Beyond the Bell, Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick, Scarlet Fu, counting you down to the closing bell, and here to help take us beyond the bell. It's a global simulcast with Carol Massar and Katie Greifeld. We welcome our audiences across Bloomberg Television, Bloomberg Radio, as well as for those folks streaming on YouTube. And Carol, I know you already have one foot out the door here, ready to get back down to your chauffeured limousine, but give us a quick sense here how you feel about the moves that we saw in the market this week. I think a market that clearly wants to go higher, but maybe has a little bit of trepidation as to what to do next.
It was a reality check. I really do feel like investors, okay, wait, we got it. The Fed hammered one message, and that is we're going to go higher for longer. They are data dependent. That's not new. But I think finally investors got it that, you know what, we're not going to go down to a lower rate environment, maybe a zero rate environment. Maybe that is just something we will not see again, that was the anomaly and that higher rates are more the norm. And now investors are kind of doing a rethink when it comes to valuations.
Markets hearing the hawkish cry of the Federal Reserve. You saw that in stocks. You especially saw it in the bond market. I've been in Miami the past week, but I have been paying attention.
Like a pigeon.
What a re-rating of a pigeon?
I don't know what a hawk. What does a hawk do? Do they even make noises?
Screech.
It's like
I think
screech.
They screech.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, you do have yields higher, stocks lower for the week. It's going to be interesting to see if this dynamic holds next week as well.
You know, it's so interesting hearing how the discourse has shifted, whether it's going to be a soft landing. People are talking about no landing at this point.
No landing.
What
I don't
does
get this no landing.
Yeah.
Someone explain this to me.
I am confused about that.
I mean, doesn't that defy the laws of physics?
Who's the pilot? I want to know.
You got to land somewhere, right?
The pilot. It's ChatGPT is the pilot.
Yeah, right.
All right, folks, let's get you the closing bells here in New York. You hear the bells. For those folks on TV, you see the people clapping. And I guess you have a little bit to cheer about here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to finish the day in the green, up by about 0.5% here. So a pretty decent rebound here when it looked like we were going to see everything down. We should point out the Dow still lower on the week by a fraction of a percent. The S&P 500 higher by 0.2% on the day, down 1% on the week. The Nasdaq Composite lower by 0.6% here on the day and down by about 2% or so on the week. And let's take a quick look here at the Russell 2000, which looks like it's actually going to finish today in the green, only up by about 0.2%, guys. But on a weekly basis, it is down, as are most of the indices, down 3.3% on the day, on the week.
Exactly. Hey, I was looking at the S&P 500, your top performers. Catalent, we know, possible deal with Danaher. That stock was up 26%, and then Fortinet. So we did see some standouts. As much as it felt like a funny kind of trade, you had some stocks moving on fundamental news, possible deal news. There was some stuff going on, Katie. Oh, no?
Scarlet.
I'm going to take it from here. There's some pretty deeply embedded themes in the market today, though. You have energy stocks moving in tandem with oil prices. In fact, every big cap energy name is higher on the day. And then you look at the next big group gainers here: utilities, food, beverage, and tobacco, healthcare, food and staples. You're talking about defensive names getting a bid on this Friday. On the downside, Tesla dragging the auto companies lower, chip makers and media entertainment, the likes of Netflix, software and services, your growthy stocks in the red.
You know, Katie looks at me and I'm like, what? That's what happened there. All right, give me a break. It's a Friday. All right, let's go to some of the specific gainers. One of them, top of the NASDAQ 100, top in the S&P 500, is Dexcom. A medical equipment company makes glucose systems for folks with diabetes, soaring after reporting fourth quarter earnings and a 2023 forecast that definitely beat expectations. This reported last night. So that stock was up about 10%. Cloudflare, NET is the ticker. That stock was up about 3%. Relling, it's an infrastructure software company, gave a 2023 revenue forecast that beat the average analyst estimate. And then you had analysts raising their price targets and saying that guidance will allay some investor concerns. So a bump up there. And thank you so much, Abiel, for fixing my ticker, because Lionsgate was up 25%, soaring. It reported last night as well. Analysts are positive after it reported third quarter results that beat expectations. Firms writing that the company's studio business was especially strong. So that one, definitely a standout in today's trade. Now I can go to Katie.
Now, and first of all, Carol, the only look I would ever give you is a smile.
She did. It was a smile.
Ever giving you
caught my
side-eye.
attention.
But let's talk about the decliners. We have to, of course, talk about Lyft, down 36%. I believe that's the biggest single day decline ever. I know you guys broke down the earnings yesterday. They weren't good. They're forecasting dramatically lower profits than expected. You compare that to what we saw out of Uber. Clearly, investors aren't too happy. Then moving on, of course, we have Alphabet. The big drama this week is that their chatbot, Bard, in a demonstration, it maybe didn't quite have the right answers. That's continuing to weigh on the shares, down about 0.5% or so. And then finally, of course, I did want to highlight Tesla. The news today is that you have Tesla shareholder Ross Gerber of Gerber Kawasaki saying that he plans to pursue a board seat. He wants to rein in Elon Musk. We're going to see how that goes, but Tesla shares down about 5% or so.
Rein in Elon Musk. All right.
It's
That's
a big
going
job.
to be some drama there. Let's go take a look at what happened in the yield space, though, too, because, of course, we saw some big moves there. And it was moves in the wrong direction, at least if you were betting on the idea that the peak in rates was in. You're looking at a 2-year yield that's now firmly back at that 4.5% level here, up about 4 basis points here on the day and about 23 basis points for the week. Similar moves that we saw on the 10-year yield as well, now back to 3.7 here. The longer end of the curve, the moves weren't as dramatic, but also higher as well. You have a 20-year now flirting with 4%, a 30-year right now at 3.8, guys.
So, of course, next week, I'm thinking ahead to what is going to catalyze this market. And yes, you have the big CPI report, but in addition, you also have 13F filings, which, of course, is the deadline for hedge funds to disclose their equity investments in the fourth quarter. It's a little backwards looking, but I'm interested in seeing whether some of these big name investors are piling into AI plays or whether that's more of a retail play.
Yeah, right. Give us an idea of how aggressive and what's catching their attention. I'm thinking a lot about the inflation print, whether or not that gives them a more momentum. Blah, 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 blah. It's just, you know what?
All right, let me pick up for you, Carol. We have a big inflation report, but I also want to point out, too, in all seriousness, I want to point out, too, because everyone's focused on that February 14th inflation report, CPI report. Don't forget, we get the PPI numbers later, but you get retail sales, you get a lot of industrial production and manufacturing activity numbers, and then you got all this Fed speak, so they're just going to muck it up as well here. So you got a lot going on just on the U.S. side, Carol.
It does.
Katie,
I'm going to pick up here because I want to talk about the inflation report. I do want to point out it comes on Valentine's Day. I think that's a little bit fun. But again, you just think about the path of inflation. We know that, sometimes the numbers don't quite capture the feeling on the ground. I kind of made a joke earlier. You think about egg prices, you think about milk prices. But I mean, that's the cost of living. And then you compare that to what we got out of some of the survey-based measures of inflation expectations, maybe a bit of a divergence.
But we know the Fed likes to strip out the cost of living. Apparently, that's not
right. They don't care about oil. They don't care about food. They don't care about shelter.
Right. But so then this gets back to the idea here. When we talk about the revisions that we've already seen on the past reports, this reweighting that Scarlett keeps talking about here, I guess the question is, how clean of a report are we really going to see on Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that, I think we just have to go from data point to data point. How does it, describe the economy? I think it's really funny that we're talking about these no landings, soft landings, hard landings, rolling recession. I think it's just such a tricky time to call things. When you have Larry Summers saying, like, the Fed's in a tricky spot, you feel like everybody is saying that they're in a tricky spot. I think it's going to be a very difficult one to call. And the risk is, do they overdo it?
Yeah, and then you fold that into all the notes that we were talking about that we saw not only today, but over the last couple of weeks, couple of days here, the idea of this being sort of a bear market trap, meaning the rally that we had, the idea that when you sort of are looking for the end of a bear market, and we are still in one, but when you're looking for the end of a bear market, there are key metrics here that you have to hit. And if you believe what these strategists are saying, we haven't gotten close to some of those, including valuations. I mean, we're trading something like 19 times right now on the S&P today, if I remember.
Yeah, the valuation picture is definitely something that is top of mind for a lot of investors, saying that we're not there yet. And it's definitely been pushed out given the rally that we've seen in 2023, particularly in those growth
Katie,
names.
you're from New Jersey, right? You're just like Carol, right?
Me and Carol, we're Jersey girls.
So are you rooting for the Eagles? Because I know you're kind of you have to, right?
Really?
Is that how
Go
it works?
Birds. Come on. I also went to school outside of Philly.
Oh, you did?
So, I mean, if I had
this
to...
is breaking
Go
news.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
Incredible
Mahomes,
quarterback.
I'm trying to gather talking points for my Super Bowl party. So Mahomes, really strong, but you got to go with.
Were you invited to this party?
I was not.
No, it's not. I'm going to it. I'm not throwing. I'm not that huge of a football fan.
That's okay. Don't worry. We're used to Carol Xing us out of everything, so I'm used to it.
Scarlett, you're like the sports expert. What are you thinking for this game?
It's going to be a really close game. I'm personally rooting against the Eagles because I come from a 49ers family, and you know what happened there. But
yeah. You know who I'm rooting for, Scarlett?
Who?
Rihanna. I hope she wins.
Yes. Oh, I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's the headliner, honestly. Also, it's going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to get a lot of crypto commercials. Remember Larry David, FTX last year?
Can they afford that?
Are we going to get AI commercials?
I think we're going to get a lot of liquor commercials.
We're going to get a lot of liquor commercials. I got to say, one of my favorite moments of the day was Tom Keene talking about Rihanna this morning.
What did he say?
That one. I'm sure it was
tell.
informative.
All right. I got to run.
I'm going to call Tom right now because I got to hear this.
Love you guys. Have a good weekend. All right. That'll do it for our cross-platform coverage, radio, TV, YouTube, and on Bloomberg Originals. We will see you. We call it Beyond the Bell, but we will see you again. Same time, same place on Monday.